Welcome to day 2 of Bedtime Yoga for better sleep. Tonight's session is a slow stretch all over, and if you have a yoga block, have it nearby. You could also use a book or a firm pillow in the pose that we use it in. And if you like support under your knees when you are kneeling, grab a blanket or a pillow for that too. We're going to begin in child's pose. And I understand that child's pose doesn't work for everybody. If your knees and your quads are on the tighter side, you could always begin in a seated posture if that's more comfortable for you. We want these evening practices to be calming, restorative, and not applying more strain to the body or the mind. So make your way either into your child posture or seated posture. In child's pose, your knees can be close together, which will gently stretch your low back, or they can be further apart, which gives you a bit more room to breathe. Rest your head down on the floor, a blanket, or the block. And begin to notice your breath. Start to breathe a little slower, a little more deeply. Inviting the body and mind to calm down and find some stillness. You can walk your hands over onto the right hand side. You may need to lift your torso up over your right thigh and reach out through your left fingertips. If you chose a seated posture, you can reach your left arm over the top of your head and side stretch from there. Breathe into your left side body. Pulling the left hip down towards your foot a little bit, creeping your left fingertips away to the side. And we'll come back through the midline and over to the left. And reach out through your right fingertips. Soften down through the right hip towards your foot. And direct your attention and breath into the right side of your body. And bring your hands back to the middle and come up to a tabletop pose. That's all fours, placing the knees right under the hips. And I mentioned earlier on, if you like support, you could slide a blanket in here just underneath them so that you're comfortable. Set your shoulders right over your wrists. When you're next breathing in, lower your belly and lift up your tailbone and your head into an arched position. And when you exhale, round. Inhale and arch. If you've been moving quickly today, from task to task, invite everything to slow down. And linger in the unforced pauses at the end of the exhale and at the end of the inhale. Just exploring a bit of space in the front of your body when you breathe in and arch. And exploring the space in the back of your body when you round. Let's just do one more of these. Take your time, please, yogi. And come back to neutral. You want to slide both of your feet over to the right and come to sit down to the left. So you can move your blanket out of the way and you sit kind of sideways on your mat. You can stack both your knees on top of each other, or you can put your right thigh on the sole of your left foot. So either of those positions work well here. We're going to come into a twist and a low back release. So a spinal twist and low back release. Rotate your torso to the left. Walk your hands around past that left thigh towards the back of your mat, or whichever way you're facing at this point, and start to lower down if you can onto your forearms. Now you might pop your blanket under your forearms, or a pillow, or that block if you have it, or you might come all the way down to the floor. And make sure your right foot isn't bound up. And just move your torso gradually around to the left until you feel just the right amount of stretch in the right waist, right low back, or right hip, depending on where you feel it. Soften what can be softened, maybe the hands, your eyes, or your jaw. Allowing yourself to become still. And carefully climb your way back up onto your hands. Keep your legs just like they are. And turn to face your left shin. You might have to adjust your feet a bit. You might even want to sit up on your blanket at this point if that's more comfortable. We're going to fold directly out over your left shin. So a deer hip stretch now. The last one was deer twist. And in this hip stretch, you can stay on your hands or you can drop down to your forearms. And you're generally moving your torso to the right until you feel your left hip stretch. Come to a depth that's sustainable comfortably, where you can soften into stillness, where you don't feel like you're forcing or needing to apply too much effort. One more deep breath down towards that left hip, as if you could actually breathe into your left hip. Just imagine that was the case. And exhale. And you can start to lift yourself back up and sweep your feet around to the left. And so remember, you can stack your legs on top of each other, or if it's possible for you, pop the left thigh on the sole of the right foot. Sit up tall before you start to twist, and turn to your right. Walk your way around until you feel like you'd like to lower down onto your forearms, and you can stay upright if that feels better. You can use support under your forearms, or you can come down to the floor. And you just keep on walking around to the right until you feel a stretch through your left waist, hip, or low back. That's sustainable, comfortable stretch. And allow yourself to simply breathe slowly in and out through your nose. We'll rise out of the twist. I'm going to shift my legs a little bit, orientation. And you'll bring your right shin, or your chest, to face your right shin. Sit up tall. And start to lean out over the right leg, whether you prop up on your fingertips, palms, or forearms. You're generally moving to the left with your torso until you feel a hip stretch. As we go through this 31 days of bedtime yoga, there will be days when we sometimes do pigeon pose, which is another version of hip stretch. But if for any reason that pigeon pose ever feels a little bit too intense, this deer pose, where we're also stretching the hip in external rotation, is a perfect substitute. So know that you can always switch your poses out so that your practice feels good. And take one more full breath in and out. And we'll come up and make your way to lying down on your back. And this is where your block's going to be useful, or your cushion or your pillow, whatever it is that you have that you could use as support. And as you lie down, I'll ask that for this next pose you don't have any support under your head, so that we don't apply more strain or tension to the neck. You're going to bring no support other than the floor, should I say. So bring your feet in close-ish to your bum. Grab your blanket, block, support, pillow, whatever it is, a book. Lift your hips up and slide your support underneath your bum there so you can rest down onto it. If you're using a yoga block, you can go low height. You might even explore the middle height. But you want to feel supported, comfortable, like you're not going to slide off it in any direction. And rest your hands by your sides with your palms facing up. If you did not have any support available to you today, you can be resting on the floor in a very similar position, which is constructive rest at that point. Also a wonderfully beneficial pose for down regulation, for calming. Just invite your body to become still, your breath to be smooth and steady. And see whether the combination of those two can help the mind to settle in preparation for sleep. Sip a slow and deep breath in towards your low belly. And exhale a sigh. On your next breath in, you can lift your hips enough to move your block out from underneath you. And roll your way all the way back down your upper back, down into your middle back, and down to your lower back. Just rest for this next breath, supported and relaxed. Let go of tension from the glutes and hips. And you can carefully roll your way onto your side and press your way up to sitting. Rest your hands together. Silently thank yourself for coming to your mat this evening. And together we breathe in and out. Thank you for joining me this evening. Namaste. I hope you enjoyed this Bedtime Yoga for Better Sleep class. For a whole month of Bedtime Yoga, be sure to check out the series. Until next time, good night.